Hello everybody, this is Raven from Twisted Sisters Mojo, and I'm here interviewing Bill. Bill has been a long-time Asatru practitioner, and we are going to find out a little bit about just what that means. Bill, how long have you been practicing Asatru?
Let's see. Well, at least 35 years.
And what great changes have you seen in Asatru since you started practicing and up till this point?
Well, there have been a lot of changes. It started, I think the first thing is just the fact that it appeared at all. There were, I understand, movements back in the 70s. And then eventually, you had the whole witchcraft, Wicca sort of explosion. And then once that became more popular, in the last 20 years, you began seeing a split as people started looking into the roots, where those sorts of traditions came from, and they began finding particular cultures, Asatru, or the Germanic and Norse cultures being one particular path of those things. So in the last number of years, there's been a number of people who've been attracted to that particular path for a lot of reasons.
Now, I understand that there's a lot of different trains of thought in Asatru, i.e. being folkish, not being folkish. Can you explain a little bit about that to me?
Sure. The issue somewhat circles about the idea of who you want to practice with, and also sometimes, unfortunately, who you think should practice. There are some people within Asatru who feel that the only people that can practice it is people who have descent from those lines, who are descended from Germans and Scandinavians and people from Northern Europe. In the same way that there are some people who feel, for instance, that you can only practice Native American practices if you're Native American blood. So there are people that are like that. Then there are other people who are they get called universalists usually, who believe that it's not up to us to make a decision as to who practices it. That's between them and their gods. And if they feel drawn to Odin and Thor, then they worship Odin and Thor.
What do you see as the biggest hurdle that Asatru needs to overcome if it's to continue?
The largest hurdle, unfortunately, is going to be dealing with issues that run around racism and white supremacy and things like that. There's unfortunately far too many people. Most of this relates to gangs in prisons. There are, when people go into prisons, there's a number of gangs that offer them protection and support. And one of those gangs is a group like the Aryan Brotherhood, people that are that spout racist sort of things, and they use the names of the Germanic and Norse deities, though I often question whether or not they have a real understanding of them and the information that we have about them. But anyway, so those people, when they come out, they claim to be Asatru, or they claim to be Odinists. A lot of time, that's the word they use. Mm-hmm. And honestly, what they practice, I don't really recognize as any kind of thing related to my own faith. So that's a big issue, making a clear and obvious separation between those people who are peace-loving folk, who enjoy seeing people develop and become better on their own, and then wishing to practice with people who are like that and not involve themselves in the sort of hatred and
Exactly.
things like that.
Can you recommend some good books on Asatru? I know there's many out there, but having known you for 30 years, I know that you're of a very studious nature. Which books would you really recommend that you feel spit out the depth of what Asatru truly is?
There are a couple of books that I think are particularly good. They're academic, which means sometimes they're a little bit dry, but a great deal of the information we have about our faith is achieved only through academics. Asatru as a practice has no direct line of practice from the time when it was practiced by the Vikings until now. There was a time when it was essentially driven underground and then essentially went away. The only thing that continued of it were folk practices, like we find out in the country. Choldom is a name for the sort of witchcraft of Scandinavia and other kinds of people like that who practice. But even they were influenced heavily by the dogma of Christianity over time. So, but academically speaking, there's 2 books by a group called Our Troth, and the Troth books. The first book details in great detail the deities, the various beings and spirits that you expect to see, that sort of thing in the world. And then the second of the 2 books describes the practices, the times of the year, when one might practice, that sort of thing.
Yes, I've read those books. They're filled with really good information.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to an aspiring young Asatruar that's coming up and trying to make their way into religion? What advice could you give them?
There's a big difference between reading a book and then coming to an understanding of the deities. All religions face this in some way, especially revealed religions, religions based upon books.
Mm-hmm.
The books are nice guides, but it takes time to make contact, to find a relationship with your deity, and it's something that you have to build and work on.
One other question. You are the Gothi, of Eastern Beach Kindred. What sets Eastern Beach Kindred apart from other kindreds that you have known?
Well, and this is probably true with many kindreds in a sense, most kindreds are a group of like-minded individuals who have gathered together and found camaraderie, fellowship in their own work and worship of the deities. As a group, we focus not only on each other and our own relationships, but also our relationships with the Veta, the spirits of the area, whether they're land spirits or sea spirits, that sort of thing. So there are some things that we do that you won't find in other groups, certain rituals and practices. Where we live, at the very bottom, the southeast of Virginia, in the 7 cities, so to speak, we are heavily influenced by the water and the ocean. And so oftentimes you'll find Njord is a deity that we have a particular relationship, or we have particular rituals for, that sort of thing. And there's just a number of practices that we do differently from other people. They've developed over time as a part of our group's community, and they're a part of our culture, so to speak.
Awesome. Well, Bill, I'd like to thank you for interviewing with Twisted Sisters Mojo, and I look forward to possibly interviewing you again.
Thank you.